All right, now for our multiplying fractions worksheet. So we're going to start off with a visual model using rectangles. In this visual model, the first thing that we do is represent our fraction. So our fraction is 4/6. So I'm going to start by drawing one rectangle. Spoiler alert, it's already drawn for us, but let's imagine that we didn't have it. So we draw the one long rectangle and we cut it into 6 pieces. And then it's saying to triple that. So we took that one rectangle, cut it into 6 pieces, and then we did a duplicate to get rectangles 2 and 3. Each one of those needs to have 4 of the little squares colored in. That way we can count our total. Now here's where it can get a little bit confusing. We did not change the size of our fractions at all. So each one of these little rectangles is 1 out of 6 pieces that you would need to make a complete whole. So when we count these, we need to keep in mind that we're counting the number of 1 out of 6 fractions that we have. So let's count them up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these 1/6 fractions. So 12 sixths. Now something that's kind of neat that we will see later is that we could try to rearrange these pieces so that they fit into our spaces. So let's take 2 of these extras and move them to complete. Oh, I didn't take the whole thing. Let's try again. I want the 2 colored in pieces and I want to move them onto this rectangle, and then I'll take these 2 colored pieces and I could move them over here. Now you're not going to be able to do that on yours, but I want to show you that 12 out of 6, a lot of us recognize that reduces to 2, and visually we can see that. We took the fraction 12 out of 6 that we had come up with, and I just rearranged the colored in squares so that I could fill up 2 complete columns. So that's pretty cool. You do not have to simplify these fractions. I want you to practice using the models. All right, next one, let's do number 4. Number 4 says 2/3, so we start by creating a rectangle, coloring in 2/3 of that rectangle, and then we're going to duplicate that to make 3 total. And then we'll count how many of the 1/3 pieces we have. So there are 2, 4, 6 of them. We have 6 thirds as our answer. And again, you might recognize that this reduces, 6 thirds reduces to the number 2. Ironic, right? Same answer. And it reduces because we're able to just rearrange our colored in pieces so that it fills up 2 columns rather than 3 incomplete columns. Our next page, we're using a number line to do a unit fraction times a whole number. So 1/5 times 7. What we're going to do is start by finding 1/5 on our number line. So we will take a number line with 0 to 1 and cut it into 5 slices. And then from here we're going to try and count 7 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There weren't enough between 0 and 1, so we're going to cut from 1 to 2 into 5 pieces as well. That way we can continue from 5, 6 to 7. So this is where our final answer would be. If I had 7 of the 1/5 size fraction pieces, I could stack them all up and it would stop right here. To read this as a mixed number, you're just going to look for the nearest whole number. So that's 1. And then we have 2/5 as our leftover. So we have 1 plus 2/5. Our answer is going to be 1 and 2/5. You don't have to do the mixed number here. It doesn't say that you have to. So if you wanted to, you could just count that there are 7 of the 1/5 fractions. In other words, 7/5 is an acceptable answer as well. The circles are almost identical to the number line, so I'm going to skip that and hope that you're able to work that one out on your own. And now we're going back to the number line. This time we're not using unit fractions, so that does make it slightly more complicated. So let's try this one. We have 4/6 times 4. So the first thing that we need to do is recognize where 4/6 is on our number line. So from 0 to 1, we need to partition that into 6 pieces to match our denominator. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And then we'd count 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4 out of 6. And we're essentially trying to duplicate that a total of 4 times. So here's one group of 4 of those. We need another 4/6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be like another 4/6 here. So there's our second one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another 4 out of 6. So here's our third one. We need another one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another 4 out of 6. Here's our fourth one. So our final answer is here on the number line. After we've made 4 duplicates of the fraction 4/6. If we wanted to read this as a mixed number, we have made it past the whole number 2, and then we had 4/6 after that. So that final answer could look like 2 and 4 out of 6. Or we can simply count all of the 1/6 fractions. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that would look like 16 out of 6. So either way you can do that one. All right, next we are multiplying fractions using a square. Now, we're using green and yellow. I'm going to use green and blue. So the way that we're going to do this is dividing our square into vertical and horizontal cuts. First, let's start with 3/5. We take our square and we're going to cut it into 5 vertical pieces. Once we have our 5 vertical pieces, we will color in 3 of those. Next, we're going to switch to making horizontal cuts. So the next fraction is 2/4. So I need to do horizontal cuts to make 4 pieces to match my denominator. And I'm going to color in 2 of those. Now the reason why we're doing horizontal and vertical cuts is so that we can make a grid with equal size cuts in it. 5 and 4, those weren't equal strips, but when we crisscross them like this, we create a total of 20 cuts. There's 20 pieces inside of, am I counting that right? We have 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah, there's 20 pieces here. And our answer is going to be this overlap region. So however many pieces are in this overlap region, that's our answer. There's 6 of them. So our final answer will be 6 out of 20. And if you remember multiplying fractions, you multiply the tops straight across, multiply the bottoms straight across. And this visual is helping to explain why that's the shortcut that we use. We have fraction word problems, so these should all be multiplying fractions in context. And then we have another fraction word problem page. The first page is using unit fractions. The second page is using non-unit fractions.